dummy half and gives it off to Webke. Driving on as only he can do. Motor he has in those legs. Just keeps taking tacklers with him. Tallis now. Man of the match in some people's eyes at Lang Park last Sunday nights. Myers now. Quickly getting away from marker there was Brett Finch with the help there of Rutchison, who got across and made the tackle. Prittis circling back to the open side. 10 metres on his own side of halfway. Prince waits at dummy half. Give it off to Lockyer, who'll put that left boot to it. Shafovsky, position nicely, takes it just outside his own 10. Solid starting set of 6 for the Brisbane Broncos. How they start this game could well set the tone for them. Of course, these two sides last year, enthralling battle down here at Bruce Stadium. The Raiders went out winners by 2 points, 16-14. They would love to repeat the dose today. Here they go, down the left-hand side with Jason Croker running into space before he's flung over the touchline by Myers.
It's a great start there by the Canberra Raiders, going down the right-hand side of the Broncos' defensive line. You notice the Broncos, they don't all come up with a line. They come up on the in the middle of the park, but their edge defenders stay behind. I'm sure you'll be seeing a lot of second-man play, trying to get in behind that staggered Broncos line.
Walker comes away to Wendell Saylor. To Bibb, who's tackled just outside his own 30. Saylor up against Nicola this afternoon. He'll be there waiting for his chance as Sivanasiva play, or in fact Takiri plays it. Here is Webke now, back up towards the halfway line. A couple of minutes gone. No score here at Bruce Stadium. Prince goes through the hands of Lockyer. Away to the excitement machine, Chris Walker. A real flyer he is, scored a try in that victory by Queensland on Sunday night. Myers now inside the Raiders 30. Prittis will feed it to Lockyer. He'll go high to the air with that spiral bomb, which has caused so many fullbacks so many problems this year. A great take by Shafovsky. Not only had to battle the spiral bomb, but also the crossbar. A quick restart as Wiki comes motoring forward for the Raiders.
Yeah, fantastic kick by Lockyer, but take your hat off to Shafovsky. Marvellous take under pressure. There's nothing worse. You don't know where the goalpost is. All you do is focusing on the football, and you can lose it, especially that spiral torpedo punt that Lockyer put up there. It floats as it comes almost to your hands.
Well, they're prepared to play a quick game of football today, the Raiders. Everything they're doing at pace. I suppose with so many players backing up the State of Origin, the Raiders see this as a quick game, maybe an opportunity to try the Brisbane side out.
Comes through the hands of Kalila, away to Croker, playing on that left-hand side. Flips the ball back way to Jamal Lalesi, and he's just over 10 metres away from the Broncos line. Through Wolford, it comes to DeVico. Just 8 metres out, and they start with a try here. Finch showing it, getting through, slipping a pass to Croker, who couldn't hang on to it, and it bounced away to Prittis. They've hung on the Broncos.
Hey, Wendell, leave it. Hey, listen. You got the penalty. I've called it, and then he's raked it out.
Well, penalty for the Broncos. Got them out of a bit of trouble. The Raiders were pressing the line there, and only the drop ball by Croker saving the day for Brisbane. Here's Sivanasiva now, pushing through tacklers. Gets it up towards the halfway line. Prittis will give it away to Walker. To Lockyer, standing inside DeVere. Gives the pass away to the New South Wales centre, who's tackled around the legs by Finch. Tallis steps off that right foot. Inside a couple of tacklers again, so dangerous. Nagus it was who wrapped him up around the legs. Through Prince to Walker now. Saylor outside him, he takes the tackle. 10 metres out from the Canberra line, still a couple of tackles left in this set as Prince turns it back on the inside for Brad Myers. This is the last tackle now. Harrison looking for the first receiver. Prince a long way wide of the ruck, and it comes back to him now. Kicks it high to the air, but a poor kick over the dead ball line on the fall. A real anticlimax to that set of 6.
Well, it was an anticlimax to that set of 6. The Raiders missed some easy one-on-one defence. And if they're going to miss one-on-one tackles like that, then the Broncos will have a field day out here this afternoon.
Martin playing it. Comes back the way of Ruben Wiki. Strong runs already. One from the tap restart. Another one there up towards halfway. Wolford gives it back to Finch. Comes back to Rutchison, who's inside the Brisbane 40. Some good metres here for the Raiders. DeVico. Tackled by Tallis. Had that right arm cocked, looking to get a ball free. Wolford gives it off to Finch. Turns it back on the inside for Shafovsky. Puts a boot to it eventually, and it bounces down for Lottie Takiri. Will be tackled just inside his own 10-metre line. Some good stuff though from the Raiders with the ball.
Yeah, well, they're trying to use the ball. Obviously, they're trying to play an up-tempo type of game, trying to tire this Brisbane team out. Brisbane, on the other hand, when they got the football, you just know what's coming. They're a no-frills type of side. They just wrap the ball the same way. They're trying to look for their big blokes to get quick play of the balls and rely on a good kicking game by Darren Lockyer.
Yeah, I've got to say, you're right, Laura. I don't know about the no frills, though. They certainly are a percentage type team. They can really use the football when they want it, though, and I'm sure we'll see that today.
Saylor pushing away from DeVico. Good tackle down low. It was made by Simon Wolford, of course, who's been carrying a shoulder injury for most of the season now. Shafovsky, once again, positioned nicely. Done pretty well in these opening exchanges, the Raiders. Good metres with the ball, and their defence, for the most part, has been pretty solid across the line.
Well, they've defended well. Also, when they've got the ball, they're looking for their big wingers to get involved. They're really trying to match this Brisbane side in the go forward. They've started with a big pack of forwards. They're trying to get Odell Manuel involved, and Vayner-Colo's got to get off his wing and do a lot more.
Finch puts it back for Rutchison. Up by Scott Prince. Play it back to Croker. From Wolford to Shafovsky. Looking around the ruck, looking for a forward to make a half break and be there to capitalise on it. Now Wolford from dummy half. Kicking will probably be too big. It rolls, touch in goal. The kicking game from both teams haven't been too flash so far. Darren Lockyer put up one spectacular bomb, which was well taken by Shafovsky. The kicking in general play to this point in the game hasn't been the strongest suit of it.
Well, I think you're right, Warren. One of the simple things, there's been no chasing. There's been no pressure from the chasing team on any of the kicks so far.
Here's Saylor now, coming in to take his turn as he always does. Pritis goes to Myers. He's just 12 short of the halfway line. Walker, Shane that is. Taken by Croker with Wesley Vayner-Colo. Tallis, a couple of players wide there looking to run at some smaller men, but Terry Martin, good game a couple of weeks ago in a beaten side against the Northern Eagles, especially in attack. Some good defence there on the free running second rower. Shafovsky, Mr. Manuel. Once again, the Raiders will have to do it the hard way from inside their own 20. We've had almost 9 minutes here at Bruce Stadium. Still no score between the Broncos and the Raiders. Past them, which could have almost been forward. Nagus trying to work out of their own 20 in traffic. It's tackled there. Wiki from Finch. Way to Terry Martin. Tackle down low, head on by Myers. What a season he's had so far. Here is DeVico. Some good metres. It's a fast play, the ball away as well. Wolford, some space to work in suddenly, and here they are at the halfway line where Hutchison will play it. Finch, the kicking duties once again, this time rolling it end over end for the touchline. He finds it, and the Broncos will have the loose in the feed. 12 out from their own line. Yeah, that was a good kick there by Brett Finch. Obviously, Raiders trying to play an up-tempo game. Brisbane are struggling a little bit with the pace, but I'm sure that the Raiders players are too. They'll get a breath. Then they know they've got to work in sets of 10 minutes here this afternoon. They're breaking it down. They know that the first 10 minutes is gone. Now for the next 10 minutes, we've really got to work hard on our go forward, really try and lift the tempo up against the Brisbane side.
So far, it's been a little bit of a chess game. Both sides showing a little bit of their hand, but not showing every bit of it so far. Evenly poised at this particular stage. Both sides having, well, fair control over this, the first part of this game. Brad Myers. Just getting
small cut cleaned up. Broncos with the ball in their possession. They able to float at the back there. Now here they go on the attack from the scrum win. Chris Walker cutting back infield, losing distance to try and pick some up. Hands it back to Wendell Saylor, who almost lost his footing for a moment there. Prittis comes to Siva. Dumps it back through Harrison. Away to Tallis now. Here's De Vere. Good tackle once again down low by Brett Finch. Takiri going from dummy half. Picked up by Odell Manuel. 40 out from the Raiders line. Walker loops a pass. Scott Prince. Lockyer had to reach behind him. Great hands by Saylor. Might have been a touch forward, but it's play on now. Here's Chris Walker. Once again searching for space to work in. At the Canberra 20. Picking up big metres once more. Walker turning back, looking for a forward running on the inside. Webke was there but was tackled on suspicion. And they've got one more tackle in this set of 6. Prittis gives it to Lockyer. No kick this time, was trying to find a runner himself, angling back into the space inside him. Had to take the tackle in the end. Once again, not the best finish to a set of 6 for the Broncos.
No, they might have been better off getting to their kick, but the Broncos are certainly using the football here this afternoon, especially up coming out of trouble. The Raiders are playing press line of defence. They're trying to get on the outside. That's where the Raiders want them to be. They want them to play from the sideline so it's easy to defend.
I think what the Broncos are doing is they're wearing down the Canberra Raiders. Not many mistakes when they've got the ball in their hand. They're making the Raiders' defence work overtime to keep them out, and that will take its toll.
Galella. Nuggety second rower. Goes forward. Now DeVico. By Prittis with the help of Myers. Wolford. And back to Finch. Changes tack and then comes back to his left-hand side under all sorts of pressure here from Harrison. On the last tackle, had to flip it out the back now. Shafovsky straight through the middle of them. Comes to Lockyer. He has support with Croker. Turns it back to Ruben Wiki. Oh, what a try, what a dive from Ruben. They are Dusky. Should stick this straight between the posts. He does. Great start for the Green Machine. 6-0 they lead the Broncos early on here at Bruce Stadium. There is the Brains Trust up high in the stands. Mal Meninga with Matt Elliott on the walkie-talkie. You heard Mal Meninga. They will be sharing the role today as far as changes and replacements and tactics. For the moment it is Matthew Elliott with the walkie-talkie in his hand. He has the ascendancy there, I suppose, if it's a game of chess, if you like, between the two coaches.
It might be a game of chess, but I can assure you Mal will be on that walkie-talkie just as much. They both Geese coaches, they love a chat. They're both very knowledgeable men. And I'm sure that this combination, as it has been, I think, for this year, has been a success.
Michael De Vere. The ball placed, ready to get us back underway.
I just didn't respond because we were on the run.
And it's Finch who fields it from the kickoff and gives it to DeVico. Solid start to the game, if not spectacular, the big front rower. The Raiders spread it wide to Rutchison. Just inside his own 30. Plays it back to Wolford. Pavella comes back to Lilesi. Pushes away from one player. Coming across and getting barreled backwards with Scott Prince. No uncertain terms there. Wolford now comes to Finch. Here's DeVico again. Runs straight at Tallis and then pushes him backwards for 5 or 6 metres. Gets a ball away. It comes to Wolford. Broncos, such a good defensive line. The best defence in the league coming into this game. You can see how straight that line was on their right-hand side as they were waiting for Wolford to slip a pass. Galella lost it, but it was stripped out.
I called you offside.
Not only was the ball stripped out, but the Broncos were up inside the 10. Brad Myers, the man, encroaching as far as Tony Archer was concerned. And you would think that Clinton Shafovsky from not too far out might have a chance here to add to this scoreline.
Yeah, I thought they might have tried to keep the pressure on the Broncos from this penalty, but it was just great work from the Raiders. They're really targeting the Broncos on the right-hand side defence. You notice with the Broncos' defensive line, they don't all come up as one. In the middle they come up, but the edges like to hang back, and the Raiders are having a lot of success looking like they're going to just take the ball up and then using tip-ons or long balls, and they're getting in behind or creating numbers against this Brisbane defence.
Yeah, I reckon you're dead right, Lauren. I think they're trying to tire them out too. The Broncos, 10 of those Broncos players have had a game this week. This is a fresh Canberra outfit. They've got fresh legs. They'll be ready to go. They'll be trying to tire them early. And I think what you're saying is right. Second, third, fourth, fifth phase football really puts the pressure on the Broncos' defence.
Well, if you can create a lot of second phase play against a team that's played more football than what you have, not only do they defend 6 tackles, they're defending 12. It seems like 12 and 13 tackles in the one set if you can create that second phase play. And if you're controlling the ball, it's very hard to stop, and you do become lazy at some stage.
Shafovsky around about 15 metres in from that eastern touchline. Strikes this one beautifully as well. Hooking, but it stays between the posts. And the Raiders looking good at the moment. Big underdogs coming into this game against the Broncos, but they lead 8-0.
Yeah, well, the Raiders certainly have to have a lead into this game. Obviously, the Broncos have got the legs behind them. They've done the distance, and the Raiders have had a couple of weeks off. So if you're looking for them to fade later in the game, but it depends how many points the Raiders put on the board early, especially after this solid start that they've shown.
Rnd12 waiting for DeVere once again to get us back underway. Vico takes it himself from the kickoff. Back to the 20 where he plays it for Wolford. Hutchison, a lot of work to do early on. Some good inroads into this Brisbane defensive line. Wolford comes to Croker. Plays on the left-hand side almost exclusively for the Raiders, but was playing on the right-hand side of the field for New South Wales on Sunday night. Now Wiki turning it back to Finch as they keep it alive. He gets it back to Shafovsky, searching for that yawning gap that was there that led to the try once again. Wolford back to Finch. Here's Shafovsky again. Perhaps the most involved fullback in the league at the moment, having in almost every tackle. Wiki. Nagus it is, gets the kick in. Set up nicely for Lockyer. A bad chasing line from the Raiders, but they were slow to move up on that far side of the field. And allowed Lockie to get across here to link up with Saylor, and you don't want that happening too often.
No, they might be better off trying to kick to the wingers straight up. Obviously, they're going to get involved in the second play, but the thing about kicking to Lockyer on the first tackle, he likes to create the opportunities for his outside man. At least with Kiri and Saylor, you know that they're just going to try and beat you on that one run.
Prittis struggling to get back to his feet as Chris Walker fires a pass to his brother Shane. Now Lockyer has DeVere outside him, straight inside. Emmanuel he went. He has to Kiri, leading up, and he's tackled 5 metres out. Good work by Shafovsky once again. Walker to Tallis, racing up out of the line. Vayner-Colo crunched him. Tallis didn't think too much of it either. Here's Lockyer, fires a pass away to Walker. He can't get involved in the action enough either at the moment. It comes backwards to DeVere. He's just 8 metres away. They've hung on for 5 tackles. Sivanasiva gives it to Lockyer. The crossfield bomb. Some pressure coming up. Oh, Saylor got there, couldn't hang on to it.
Not forward.
Well, that was great defence here by the Canberra Raiders.
He really blew a try there. He just didn't draw the fullback. He gave him the ball. Gave the ball to Kiri way too early. There is 4 points definitely gone begging for that for the Brisbane Broncos side. No doubt about that. And you're right, Laurie. What about the scrambling defence from the Raiders?
Here's DeVico playing it at the halfway line. They've survived a couple of scares. And now here they are, 40 away from the Broncos line. Good try here. Really set some hearts fluttering amongst the Broncos camp. Good kick from Finch though, once again forcing the Broncos to work it from a set play situation deep inside their own territory.
Well, that's smart play by the Raiders. They're trying to play an up-tempo game, but they realise that they've got to get their rest at some stage. We spoke about breaking the game down in 10-minute periods, and that's exactly what they've done. 30th minute mark they found touch, 20th minute mark they've done it as well. Just good thinking by the Raiders.
Talk about utilising what you've got. I see Luke DeVico's off and Toddy Payton's on for the first time, so they're keeping the power up front. They want to take them on up front.
Well, they do. And also Todd Payton, he adds a lot of impact when he does come off the bench. He's got a bit of skill as well.
Here's Walker. Going up against Jamal Alessi and almost got away from him as well. Croker comes in to help out. Broncos keen to go to that right-hand side early in the tackle count. Walker, there's an injury there coming out of that tackle, perhaps just a knock to the shin. He'll receive some treatment from the trainer as Scott Prince it is. He'll play the ball for him. Sivanasiva now tackled by Todd Payton, who's out there, as you said, Russell, for Luke DeVico, who's gone back to the bench for the moment. Here is Tallis. Back in behind the ruck.
Offside, Sean, you made the tackle. Right there.
Up inside the 10, the Raiders. Lockyer, very quickly, he wants to get on with it and get things going and try and spark something here for the Brisbane Broncos. Here's Sivanasiva. They're 20 out. They've been down here a few times and have nothing to show for it so far. We're midway through this first half. Shane Walker comes back to Brad Myers. And dumped heavily by Wolford with the help of Wiki. Burns out there. He's 10 out from the line. Crawls forward an extra metre or so and plays it back to Prittis. To fast play the ball. Prittis, I'm sure, had thoughts about going himself. Talking about going himself, Shane Walker gets across the line. He's contending he got the ball down.
So you got to put it down on the line, matey. You don't just hit the post.
Walker might have hit the post with the ball, as he said. There it is, the contact, but it needs to be in contact with the post and the ground at the same time.
Yeah, and the ball did not touch the ground at that stage. Very noticeable that the Broncos are starting to turn the ball inside, trying to pick up Prittis, getting out, looking for numbers back on the inside. The markers and the A defenders on either side of the ruck have to be very wary for the Raiders.
So it is Walker who feeds it. And Lockyer comes away to De Vere, who's gone close a couple of times. Takiri also almost scored. He'll play it back to Takiri. Lockyer through the hands now to Myers. Three of them there. Payton with the help of Martin and also Ruben Wiki there to stop the rangy second rower. Prittis fires the ball to Walker. Comes to Darren Burns. It's just 3 or 4 metres away. Hawkins left and right. Prittis comes to this left-hand side as they put on a set play, and Harrison also goes very close to scoring. They continue to hang on here, the Raiders. Rock solid defensive line so far. Tallis, decoy play. Lockyer fires a pass to De Vere. He must surely score. Don't tell me he got held up as well. He did.
Fourth tackle. Thanks, Hendo.
For the second time in a row, a Bronco has got across the line. This time, Kenny Nagus was able to hold up Michael De Vere. They turned him on his back, having the same nightmares that New South Wales had last Sunday night.
Well, it was great work there by Kenny Nagus and the Raiders. They're scrambling particularly well on the line. But I'd just like to see them get off their line a little bit harder. If they start sliding on the line, you can go through them easy enough and you can get the ball over. You've got to come up, so if you get a side-on tackle, then they can't put the ball down and score.
Takiri will play at the third consecutive set for the Broncos. This weight of possession must eventually tell on the Raiders, but they continue to hang tough.
Well, both sides have been at great completion rates.
Prittis comes to Shane Walker. Now to Lockyer. Options he has, Tallis. Tackle down low by Wolford. Well read by the Canberra defence once again. Lockyer instructing players from dummy half. Comes to Sivanasiva. They hung on for 4 tackles once again here. Prittis, it goes quickly to Lockyer, the playmaker. Walker, good ball away to Harrison, but well read once again by this Raiders defence. I'll play it there. Lockyer again at first receiver. Chipping this time for the in goal. Too big. Super effort by the Green Machine. They say they're bad and mean and mighty unclean, and they certainly have been in defence, Laurie.
Oh, that's fantastic work by the Raiders. They were getting off their line. They were putting pressure. They were also very aware of the inside ball that the Broncos like to play, especially near the line. They knew that Lockyer was going to kick it on the last tackle. That's great work, but this is the tough stuff. We've got to get the ball and get it up the other end of the field.
What they did was they made the tackles on the key players. People like Gordon Tallis, as they throw the ball into space there, and that has been, they'll be disappointed about that one because they've worked hard for almost 3 sets of 6 to get themselves out of trouble, but now they're back in it. But what they did was they tackled the key men. As Croker goes off the field, he has a spell. Gordon Tallis, Darren Lockyer got pressure on them, and therefore it affects their runners, and their runners run off those key players, and that's why there wasn't a great deal there. It was fairly simple to cover the inside ball.
Here we go.
Brisbane again, just 30 metres out this time. Here is Lockyer. Comes away to Scott Prince. He shows it. Hanging on for grim life. Still trying to get him to the sideline is Jamal Lalessi. He went very close to doing so. Could have been penalised. Will be. He gave Tony Archer no option but to blow the whistle. He did well, dragging Prince towards the touchline. Then when he shoved him back to the ground, he gave Archer absolutely no option but to penalise him.
You can't keep turning the ball over and giving away penalties against this quality Brisbane side. They've come to play football today, as has the Raiders.
Prince. It comes to Shane Walker. Sorry, Laurie, as they go on the attack here. Nobody at first receiver. It bounces up for Brad Myers. Bruce, I'm sure, was waiting for either Shane Walker or Lockyer to be there. Neither was. He takes the tackle, 5 out. Once again, from this Canberra line, they seem to have been camped down here for an eternity. Lockyer with players in motion again. Prince looking for a gap. Desperate tackle made by Lalessi once again. Lockyer gives it to Harrison. He's gone close to scoring a couple of times, only an arm length away that time. Prentice fires a pass. Shane Walker grubbering. Once again, Shafovsky is there to clean up, but they will get 6 more tackles, the Broncos, from a goal line dropout.
Well, it's just been great defence by the Canberra Raiders. They've really got to muscle up this time. This can break the back of the Broncos side if they just keep turning them out. It's just been good defence. They've been getting off the line. The Brisbane side, they've looked a little bit rusty around the dummy half and first receiver this afternoon. Obviously, Sean Berrigan's out with injury. Sometimes the pass from Prentice hasn't gone to the man that's wanted the ball, and Lockyer is very noticeably up at first receiver a lot more.
The defence is frustrating the Brisbane Broncos. They had ample numbers on the outside. I think it was about 5 on 3, yet Lockyer kicked it, so this defence is frustrating them.
Here is Webke. He's 30 out, playing it back to Prentice. Countless tackles inside the Canberra 20, and still it's the Raiders who lead 8-0 here with 12 minutes left in this first half. It's been an onslaught from Brisbane. They are still scoreless. Prentice now comes to Prince. They shift it again to this left-hand side. Lockyer, another cut-out ball for Devere. Turns it back on the inside for Takiri. They continue to scramble though, the Raiders. Here's Tass getting muscled out by Brett Finch. He'll play it back at the 20. Rode him like a Bronco. Up you go there, cowboy. Here's Lockyer now. Fires a pass. Numbers for the Broncos. Prince hangs on to it. Gets the ball back to Webke, and he's tackled on the 5th. Here's Prentice going from dummy half himself. Surely he must score.
Got it down.
From the junction, on the 20-metre line, and the 10-metre in from touchline on that eastern side. Strikes it nicely, but it hooks away. The Raiders soaked up all the pressure and coughed up just 4 points as a consequence. And you could see the disappointment on the face of the Raiders as they stood behind the line waiting for that kick to come from Michael Devere. They had worked so hard in defence and were confident, quite obviously, they could keep holding out the Brisbane Broncos. The passive Wayne Bennett, we saw him sitting high in the stands for the moment. I'd be too disappointed with his side's efforts. Such a mental barrier to come back from last week. It would be a huge letdown coming off the highs of Sunday to playing here against the Raiders this week.
Yes.
Very easy for the Raiders now to switch off, and it could be just the key that the Broncos were looking for to get them to play with a bit more confidence than they have been. It'll be interesting to see just what happens. The Raiders' defence right now has to stand up.
Webke there, tackled by Anthony Kallela, who has one of the more interesting bandages around his head for the time being. It goes from the top of his head around his chin and then back up the other side. Looks like something from the mummy returns. Here's Shafovsky. He'll bring it back out from inside his own 20. Tight game this one here at Bruce Stadium this afternoon. Just 8 points to 4 the scoreline. As we approach half-time, Terry Martin bounce away from the tackle of Webke. Carl Webb out there now also for the Broncos. It's Michael Hodgson, former Eel, carts it up. Here is Lalessi, tackled and deciding. Tackled down low by Harrison from marker, and then...
You're in the way. He's in there, Gordon. He's in there.
There's a cumbersome effort at best to try and get away from the ball being played. Once again, Archer given little choice but to blow a penalty. He was there trying to get out of the way, but when he interfered with the play like that, Archer had to blow the whistle. So the Raiders get a rare chance here to go into Bronco territory. In fact, when you think back there, one lone try of the game so far came from inside their own half, a scrambling play at the start, and Finch was lucky to get the ball away. Shafovsky motored downfield for Wiki to score. Hodgson. Just outside this Brisbane 20. Here's Martin taking it, looking to offload once again, 10 metres out. Can they apply some pressure now to the belly of the Broncos? Here's Finch. Comes back to McClendon, who's out there. He offloads to Kallela. Here is the mummy looking for the tomb, the secret code to open the door. 5 metres away. Wolford through Finch. And then McClendon. Here's Wiki turning it back for McClendon. And straight into the tackle there of Shane Walker. Nagus fires it to Finch. Grubbers off the legs of a Bronco. It comes back to Prince. He forces it. And the Raiders have done well. They'll get 6 more tackles.
Well, that was great there by the Raiders. What a wonderful pick-up by Mark McClendon off his toes, one hand.
Okay.
He may not have tried to kick it, but he certainly inadvertently interfered with the play of the ball. And really, the Raiders would have been disadvantaged had they not received a penalty. The Broncos, moving up off their line, would have swamped Simon Wolford as soon as he picked it up. And really, Archer, despite the protest of Gordon Tallis, had no choice but to blow a penalty. Here they are, though. That's old news now as Payton plays it back to Wolford. Here's Finch. It comes to McClendon. Ricky outside him once again. Once again he offloads. McClendon leapfrogs everybody, looking for the line himself. He'll go very close. He reached out and put the ball
I just want to check that arm comes in contact with the ground first, and he then moves the arm forward.
Tony Archer wants to take a look at it, and the video referee Ian Parnaby will have the decision to make himself. McClendon is confident that he has scored. He reached out here. He found a little bit of daylight. Seven Asiva came across to close up, reaching out, puts the ball down on the line. Hard to see anything wrong with that one initially.
That is a try. What great work by McClendon. He's looked dangerous when he's come onto the football field. He rolls the arm over. He's got control of it. He places it down. Try.
Well, it was a great solid run. The second effort, you look for it. You look for it in players. You look nothing better than to give themselves an extra 4 points, possible 6 points. And that'll take them out to a little bit more than they thought they would be in after the first 40 minutes.
Confirmation from Ian Parnaby. The green lights go up, no problem. From the video referee, McClendon scored a couple of good tries already this year. Gets his 3rd of the season. Elliott once again busy on the walkie-talkie. They'd be delighted with the score, 12-4, as we approach half-time here, just over 5 minutes left. Of course, Shafovsky with the chance to extend that lead to 10 points.
Well, if they're happy, how come they weren't smiling, Big Mal and Matty Elliott up there? They know they've got another 40 to go, that's for sure.
Well, they were dancing on the inside, baby, don't you worry. Now, it's a Watusi he's doing between that Raiders jacket, I'm sure. He's loving this at the moment.
There is some concern there on Mal's face, let me tell you. He's going to go through the fingernails if he keeps that up.
Big game for them, of course. A loss here today would see them once again slide a long way from the top 8, but a win would have them just 1 point back. Shafovsky strikes it nicely. No problems for the kicker. A good day this afternoon. It's 14-4 in favour of Bennett. Has left Bruce Stadium as a loser with his Brisbane Broncos. Last year's performance came in the middle of Origin time as well, and the games were a lot closer together than they are this year, of course, with the Origin games being played as a sole events on their various weekends. Last year the Broncos had a number of their stars missing for this clash here at Bruce Stadium. He gave the likes of Justin Hodges, who was on the bench today, to get their chance to be out there amongst the stars, and they went very close to causing an upset the Broncos last year. But this would be an upset today if the Raiders can keep that streak of 3 successive wins here at Bruce going against the Broncos. And they are well on their way to doing that here this afternoon. Is Vainikolo. Hasn't had too much to do with the ball in his hands, but can be a danger when he gets involved. McClendon gets the kick away, and Lockyer tracks across, fielded inside his own 20. No sign so far between himself and Takiri of the combinations they put together a couple of times against New South Wales last Sunday night to such devastating effect.
No, they've really worked hard on their kick chase this week, the Raiders, by the look of things. They've gone down there in a line a number of times. There's been no space for Lockyer to work with his wingers.
Webb. Almost back to the halfway line. Here's Prittis picking it up and going in the one motion. Comes to De Vere. Slammed onto his back by Mark McClendon. Now Tallis down the short side. Takiri with barely a metre to work in the shadows of the grandstand here at Bruce Stadium. On the last tackle now. Lockyer once again, that spiral bomb. The pressure coming up on Vainikolo. Took it well and then had visions of going a long way downfield. Got away from Saylor. Fires a pass to Schifofsky. Here comes Croker now. The counter-attack immediately from the Raiders.
Well, that is just confidence. Leslie Vainikolo, who had his problems under the high ball, took it sensationally. It was a spiral bomb. Then he offloaded to Croker. Croker back to Schifofsky. And the Raiders are playing with plenty of confidence. And when they're in this mood, they can beat anyone.
Finch gives it to Payton. The Broncos are up very quickly there. Tallis able to meet him now. Wolford going from dummy half. Goes to Finch. Martin spinning in the tackle there of Harrison, who cuts him down at the halfway line. Schifofsky. Play it there on the last tackle. Fire it to Croker, who gets the kick away and bounces high over the head of Wendell Saylor. To keep the ball in play, Big Wendell, and keep it alive. And just 90 seconds left on the clock here. They'll use up some time here setting the scrum, and then the Raiders should only have 6 more tackles to last until half-time.
Yeah, it was a great play there by Jason Croker, realising that Brisbane, you're better off to defend them from a set start where your defensive line can get in order. And they've just got to hold out for this set of 6, and they will be very confident going in at half-time, because Brisbane have turned up here ready to play football today. Their completion rates have been solid, but the Raiders defended stoutly as he's missed.
Lockyer went straight through the tackle of Mark McClendon. They chase him. Now they come to get him. He fires the ball back on the inside for Michael De Vere. Tackled by Brett Finch. A costly miss by Mark McClendon. Will they make them pay? Walker fires a ball wide to his brother Chris Walker. He tries to take them on. Martin makes the tackle. 46 seconds left. Saylor has it. Runs across field. Looking for a gap himself. Can't find one for the moment. He's tackled midfield. 5 out from the line. 3 tackles left. Prittis again from dummy half. Turns it back for Sivanasiva. He got there to score the try. At 5/8, the Raiders. Andrew McFadden has had the job for most of the season. He was playing in First Division this week. Dropped from the top side, and McClendon gets his chance with the number 6 on his back after spending most of the first part of the season on the wing for the Raiders, especially since Leslie Vainikolo has been out of action. McClendon has played almost exclusively in Vainikolo's position on the left wing for Canberra, but gets his chance in closer to the action today. Just caught out there with Lockyer on the inside shoulder from the scrum. He was angling, sliding across to his right-hand side, and when Lockyer straightened, he was merely a turnstile. Here is De Vere from right in front and adds the extra 2. As the half-time siren sounds, it was a 10-point lead at one stage those first 40 minutes. Michael De Vere gets us underway for the second half. The Raiders have 40 minutes to try and hang on here. Hodgson will play it inside his own 20.
We're talking about hanging on, Warren. the Raiders at one stage were known as the faders. They were leading most of their games and they were falling behind. I can tell you that they do concede over 60% of the points in the second half. So let's hope, for Laurie's sake, that they don't start to cough up possession and give the ball to the opposition.
Here's Finch now from dummy half. He composed first 40 minutes from the young halfback. Martin been doing some good work in recent times, running the ball forward. As I said earlier, had a good game against the Eagles, a beaten side a couple of weeks ago at North Power Stadium. He's picked up plenty of metres once again this afternoon. Here's to Keary. Close to scoring a couple of times in the first half. Lockyer. He took one scything run and a missed tackle by Mark McClendon for everybody to be reminded in a hurry just how dangerous an attacking weapon Darian Lockyer could be. Likewise for Chris Walker, tackled there by Lilesi. Here's Saylor now. He's across the halfway line. 2 tackles left in this set for the Broncos. Prittis gives it off to Webke. Short ball for Shane Walker. Good tackle from Ruben Wiki though. Sliding on the inside there, the second rower has comes through the hands of Webb, and Lockyer grubbers the ball down for Schifofsky. The Raiders work it away from their own 20. Del Manuel. Don't see too much of the ball in attack in the first half. Payton comes to Scott Prince. Almost gets past the 5'8". Webb there, helping him make the tackle, and here he is again, down low. Suvanasiva making the tackle on Michael Hodgson. Croker. Play it there on the last tackle. Valesi comes to Wolford. Finch it is. Hands it off as they put it through the hands on the last tackle. Wiki now to Manuel on that far side. Play it there. He's waiting for something to happen. Not much did. It was almost as if it was the third or fourth tackle.
It wasn't the right field. The Raiders, they should have got to their kick there. They've got to start to build this game again. They can't just expect things to happen again in the second half.
There is 7 to 7, almost back to the halfway line. Go through the hands to the back line as Prince looks for options. He had Walker cutting back on the inside, took the tackle. Harrison feeds it off to Chris Walker. Just outside that Raiders 30 is Saylor. To Shane Walker. Flat pass up in the face of them very quickly. Davis was there to try and shut down Carl Webb and force the ball loose as well. They've turned it over, the Broncos. Great piece of work from the Raiders in defence, Ken Nagus.
That's what they have to do, the Raiders. They're going to keep showing up in defence and try and frustrate this Brisbane side. I noticed early in the second half, they've gone wide on most occasions, which is very un-Broncos-like. They like to just roll it forward and get a good kick and chase game away, but they've used the ball to the edges a bit. The Raiders have just got to keep numbering up and frustrate them.
McClendon has to go back and clean up. I'd like to make up for that defensive miss at the end of the first half. Wiki from dummy half spins away from the tackle of Sivanasiva. Strong game from the Kiwi this afternoon and gets a good ball away as well. Payton flips it, comes back to Croker. He puts a kick in for Vainikolo. Lockyer is there and gets driven backwards, almost back to the in goal by Lilesi.
Well, that was good play by the Canberra Raiders. They showed a fair bit of composure there, although it might have been Joseph Croker might have held on to the ball, looked for some space back down this left-hand side, but they certainly created a bit of space. That's what they weren't doing at the end of the first half, so they've come out with renewed confidence in this second half.
Here's Webke now. It's also been well contained. This Raiders forward pack has really aimed up this afternoon, but finding some good metres here. No, Sivanasiva lost it.
2 hands in it. Hey. 2 hands in it. Yeah, but you play with the ball, mate. Wait there. Hey, Chris, let me look after it, right?
Sivanasiva, according to Tony Archer, lost the ball as a consequence of Simon Wolford having his hand in there in the tackle. Wolford vigorously denied the charge, and well, that one there might not have quite shown what exactly happened before the ball came loose. Nonetheless, the Broncos have it 30 metres from the Raiders line. Here is Carl Webb. Play it back to Prittis. Let's play the ball, gives Pritter some room to move in. Dragged down from behind by Hodgson. Tallis, a dummy half. Comes to Webke. The Broncos looking to tie this scoreline up. Prince almost gets the line. In fact, is brought down just centimetres short of it. Plays it quickly to Walker. He finds Lockyer. Fires the ball to Tallis. 3-on-2 out wide for the Broncos. Here's Tallis now, it's 3-on-1. He steps back inside. Here's McClendon, brings the big second rower to ground. They slid across well. Shane Walker comes to Lockyer now. Grubbers for the in-goal again. Schifofsky will just shovel it across the dead ball line. And the Broncos will get 6 more tackles. It's almost a repeat of what happened in the first half.
Yeah, it was great work there by Lockyer, putting the ball in behind the line. The Raiders, they're starting to look a little bit tired. They thought they would tire in the second half, but not as early. They're getting a bit wide around the middle of the ruck. And we know that the Broncos like to use that inside ball, especially close to the try line.
Taking their time here, the Raiders. Use up as much of the clock as they possibly can with this 4-point lead in their favour.
Hold tight. Set.
Schifofsky gets it off the side of the boot slightly, but comes to Lockyer at the 40-metre line before he hands it off for Sivanasiva. Be warming into this match slowly, the Broncos, or perhaps not so slowly. They've coughed up the forward pass here, though. Shane Walker. Pass away to Carl Webb, no doubt about it being forward.
Thank you. No.
A real wasted chance here for the Broncos. Sure, Laurie Daly, you are hoping that that might have been an intentional forward pass. It might have in fact been a penalty to the Raiders.
Well, it did look like an intentional forward pass, one.
He says, with his green sleeves poking out of his shirt. Alan Tongue out there for Ruben Wiki, who gets a breather for the moment. I'm sure it won't be for too long a time. It has been very good for Canberra this afternoon. Plenty of changes left for both sides. Here is McClendon getting a ball away. It came off the hands of Pritter and then back to McClendon. So it will be a renewed tackle count for the Raiders. 6 again. Here's Martin. Prince leaps up around his shoulders to stop him. 45 out from this Brisbane line as Wolford goes to his right-hand side. McClendon fires a pass over the top to Nagus. Comes back infield for Manuel, who almost got away from everybody. Dragged to ground there, only just. Here is Schifofsky, McClendon rather, going midfield. To link up with a runner and play it back for Wolford. Goes from dummy half, chopped down in a tackle by the marker. It was Pritter who got him. McClendon comes to Finch, to Croker now. Gets a kick away while holding off Chris Walker. It wasn't a bad kick in the end. And Darren Lockyer will be held in goal. They'll get it back. Terrific work from Jason Croker. How did he hold off Chris Walker and then get the kick away with the left foot?
Well, that's great skills there by Croker. He realised it was 5th tackle. They decided to run the football. There was nothing on. Left foot. He shows all his skills. Great work by the Raiders players coming up. Vainikolo. Terry Martin has had a strong game today here with Jamal Alessi. And that's good work.
Well, if they can get a try out of this, you can thank the chasing team. It was excellent then. They worked as a real trio and corralled him inside over the try line.
The drop out is a long one, more than 50 on the fly, where Schifofsky fields it just inside his own half before Hodgson brings it back. Just over 9 minutes gone in this second half. No addition to the half-time scoreline. Schifofsky, it's that left hand free. Nobody was expecting it. They thought he was tackled and they were sizing things up for the next hit-up. Here it is again from Tongue to Schifofsky. Standing in the tackle there of Harrison. Got another ball away. 2 offloads in the 1 tackle for the fullback. Playing as an extra halfback at times this afternoon. Here's Wolford now, going from dummy half. 3 tackles left. They're just over 10 metres out from the Broncos line as Payton gives it off to Finch. Double pumps it. Comes to the Lessie. Well, he couldn't hang on to it. And a good thing that Walker for the Broncos didn't pick it up on the first attempt. He would have gone 90 metres certainly and score. He had a go at it. And the Raiders were shot to bits. There was nobody at home had he taken it.
Yeah, well, they're trying to play fancy. They're trying to play where they left off in this first half. They're going to get back to going forward. You notice Wolford getting out of dummy half. McClendon starting to look a bit dangerous. When they create second phase play, they work for a quick play of the ball and they get out. Then they can start going to the edge of the ruck.
Justin Hodges out there on that left-hand wing for Lottie Takiri at the moment. Jumper 16 he's wearing as Harrison just gets away from the tackle of Terry Martin. A good tackle by the second rower once again. Prince turns it on the inside. Intercept taken by Brett Finch. Nobody in front of him against the run of play, and Finch will go 50 metres and score for the Raiders. It came out of absolutely nothing. There were no Broncos at home. And moments earlier, Chris Walker had a chance to take an intercept and go the length of the field. Well, Brett Finch returns the favour. It's an 8-point lead, perhaps about to be 10 for the Raiders. Great piece of luck for them.
Well, it was great work there by Brett Finch, covering up on the inside. That's where we know that the Broncos are going to try and test the Raiders up the middle of the park. They all done their job. They all come across. Princey threw the ball, and Finch was there on the spot. He's got enough speed to get to the line.
Inside man covers inside pass. I can't believe Prince couldn't see Brett Finch at that stage. Finch wasn't sure he was through the hole, and when he turned around, you could see the smile on his face there, realising that no one was going to catch him. They were all up in the line, expecting the ball to come back. Okay, it was 65 metres, and there was no one chasing him, but he just cruised home at the end.
Of course, but also in the greater scheme of things, as far as this premiership goes, 6 games already played at home at Bruce this year. Just 3 wins to show for it. Well down on their usual home percentage of wins. They're so tough to beat here over the last 10 or 12 years. Elliot Meninga still discussing things high in the stands. They had a 10-point lead moments before half-time. It was reduced to 4. Shafovsky can restore it to the full 10 points off the upright, and over it goes. Luck is going their way at the moment for the Raiders.
Well, when you play the best team in the competition, you need every ounce of luck you can get. And the Raiders have certainly had that today. As you can see, Don Ferner sitting up with Wayne Bennett. I'm sure Wayne wouldn't be smiling, although his team has played very well here this afternoon. It's been a quality game with both teams here ready to go.
Co-coaches of a different era, almost up against co-coaches of the current era today. Almost a handing over the baton here at Bruce Stadium this afternoon, from the old to the new. Alan Tongue will play it. 30 out from his own line as Finch comes to Rutchison. Here's Wolford from dummy half, picking up 10, 12 or maybe even more metres. It's a fast play the ball away as well. Here's McClendon. Don't need to give him any room to move. 10-point lead for the Raiders. The Broncos can ill afford to see that lead blow out any further. Croker got the kick away. Wendell Saylor knocked it back, according to Tony Archer. It draws groans from the faithful here at Bruce Stadium. One of them standing right alongside me.
I can't believe that wasn't awarded a knock-on. Now, I know I am supporting the Raiders, but I think Wendell might have, when he looks at that on video, was very lucky to get away with it.
Shane Walker comes back to Mark Corvo, the former Raider and former teammate of yours, Laurie. There it is. A great angle to judge a knock-on from, but may well have been very lucky. Prittis comes to Gordon Tallis, and he's 40 metres out from the Raiders line. And they reduce this margin once again. Lockyer, another spiral bomb, torpedoing through the air for Shafovsky. He's been terrific this afternoon. Here he is, going downfield again, picking up 15 metres after making the catch. What a game he's having.
That's not an easy ball to take, let me tell you. As it comes to you, the last 10 metres as it's coming down, it floats away, and it was a fantastic pickup. Then he makes 15 metres and sets the Raiders up for some more attack.
Not straight at marker. Not straight at marker. No way, Gordon. He wasn't straight at marker.
Justin Hodges, the man penalised, not being square at marker. A little harshly done by looking at that one. Perhaps things even up after all, Laurie.
I think they might, but the referee was in the right spot, Warren.
So, Warren, just look at the Broncos. They look like they're tiring both mentally and physically as we see Big Lazo in there. He can tell both of these sides what to do. He's played with both of them, premierships with both of them. But the Broncos look as though they're tiring mentally more than they are physically.
That was always going to be the question, how they would back up mentally this afternoon. And here is Rutchison again. He's just 12 metres away from this Broncos line. A try here for the Raiders. Be such a boost for them, and they would be good things, you would think, from that point on to hang on and win this game. Here's Wolford now, looking for options. Can't find one, looking all the time when he rides that tackle to the ground from Prittis. Still just under 24 minutes left. Shafovsky comes to McClendon. A ball back on the inside for DeVico. Wolford gets to dummy half. Gives a pass to McClendon as they put it through the hands. Finch, played at by a Bronco, not played at according to Tony Archer.
I got a call. Listen, I got a call that it was played at, so there's no problem. I got a call. Why do you have to? Why do I have to? Because I got one. Let's go. Wait there. Let's ride again.
Tony Archer certainly has his hands full with a couple of Broncos out there at the moment, most notably the captain, Gordon Tallis, who of course has had his run-ins in recent times with referees, if you hark back to last year's Origin.
Yeah, well, he's probably got every right to argue the point there. I thought that De Vere was going to make the tackle. He's knocked it down. The Raiders get a bit of luck, which they've had in the last couple of sets.
Here is Jamal Alessi now. Just 8 metres out from this Broncos line. More pressure on the visitors as Croker takes a chance to try and force his way over. We'll play it back to Wolford. McClendon again at first receiver with Finch outside him. Steps off the right foot, comes back to McClendon, who shows it. Offloads it to Nagus, stepping in traffic. He offloads it to Rutchison. Here's DeVico. He thinks there's a chance to score, and he gets very close. He'll play it back to Shafovsky. If they come left, there's a big chance for the Raiders. Wolford to Nagus. He knows where the ball needs to go. It can still go there. Finch looking for his second in minutes. He gets there and scores. There were holes everywhere on the right-hand side of the Broncos' defensive line, and it looked as though the Raiders weren't going to be able to find them, but Finch ducks under a tackle, scores again for the second time in succession. Gordon Tallis is absolutely furious, but they are in a big hole now, the Broncos.
Well, they are, but you can never write this team off, the Broncos. But the Raiders, they've persevered all day. They go wide, or look to go wide. The Brisbane defence come up hard. Kenny Nagus. You think that the play is going to stop there. Chris Walker comes up with thin air, and Brett Finch, 2 tries in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, this is fantastic ball movement. That's what takes the Broncos defence by surprise. They move it, they draw them out of position, they can't realign, and that's what does it. This ball from Nagus, and look, they have switched off mentally. There's a big hole there. Where's the man covering the inside pass? The Broncos have gone to sleep. They're going to be made to pay by the Raiders today. They are in fine form.
Coming to the bench for the time being, replaced by his coach, Wayne Bennett. I dare say he doesn't look out of breath, and he's copping a bit of stick from the Canberra fans as well as he makes this long trek back to the bench. And I'm sure Wayne Bennett just thinks it might be time for Gordo to cool it, keep the powder dry and come back on after 5 or 10 minutes to try and get the Broncos back into this game right at the death perhaps. But I'll tell you what, it's going to be a fairly formidable scoreline they face here. 24-10 at the moment. And Shafovsky from right in front will make it a 16-point lead for Canberra. Poised to score. Only a couple of players on this side of the field. Walker, you can see there, only had Wendell Saylor outside him. There is Lockyer also just floating behind Walker. And there were a number of Raiders looking for the ball, and they were celebrating long before Finch got the ball down. Shafovsky in the arms of Nagus. They know what a win would do for their season this afternoon. It'll be just 1 point out of the top 8. It would be a real boost to their chances. Here's Finch, got the ball loose, knocked back by Brad Myers. Just when they'd made that lead a really healthy one, they go and force a pass like that and put themselves under all sorts of pressure here. Shane Walker turns it back to Wendell Saylor. Prittis gives it off. Comes to Corvo, spinning in the tackle. 3 tackles left in this set of 6 as Prittis looks for options to his right. He goes left. He finds Shane Walker. What's happening for him? He had Lockyer outside him. He now cuts back to this right-hand side and stands at first receiver. Prittis finds him. Lockyer goes past a couple, gives it to Prince, to Chris Walker. Got away from a high tackle and they're back straight away through Chris Walker. It was a costly mistake when they coughed the ball up. And once again, the Broncos, as swiftly as only they can, have hit back.
Well, that's what a quality side does to you when you make mistakes. And that time the Raiders, off a forced pass, they made the mistake. The Broncos go wide. Chris Walker, they've got danger players all over the field. They'd be still confident to try and...
Well, he may have been adjudged not to be, and gee, they're back in this ball game, and you're dead set right, Laurie. They think they can win it. I reckon they'll go very close to it now. This is just the tonic they needed.
DeVere from almost the touchline. Strikes it well, coming back, but not enough. It shaves the right upright. The lead remains 12 points, 26-14 to the Raiders. And we've got just on 17 minutes left. 2 converted tries now, the difference. Wendell Sailor. A line of thinking from some people in recent times that he hasn't been quite to the level that we have come to expect of Wendell Sailor. A big chance here, though, with Tallis off the field and as one of the more experienced players on the field for the Broncos now to take an upper hand here and try and get them back into the game by becoming very involved. We'll see what happens. Prince bobbles that ball, but it went backwards. Prittis comes to Sivanasiva. Lockyer again at first receiver. Goes through Prince. Away to Chris Walker. Vayner can't catch him. He's carrying his shoulder. And Prittis is there in support as well as Darren Lockyer. And he will score under the posts. A number of options for Chris Walker. He found Darren Lockyer. And they've scored 2 tries in the space of 2 minutes. And they are right back in this game up to their eyebrows. Was disconcerting seeing Leslie Vayner trying to catch Chris Walker with his arm hanging limply by his side.
Yeah, well, Leslie's in all sorts of trouble out there. The Raiders, they've played a compressed defensive line all day, and Brisbane have tried their luck a number of times, but as the game's worn on, they've looked vulnerable out wide, the Raiders. So you can't give this guy too much space, Chris Walker. He's got plenty of speed, and then you've got Lockyer and Sailor backing up in support. I think the Raiders might have to readjust their defensive line, maybe getting the halfback.
The previous try from this one, that they were just, the confidence was bubbling there. It was too easy, and they just cruised over out wide. No reason they scored this one just a couple of minutes later. It also was just as easy. Look out, Raiders, here come the Broncos.
Well, we mentioned their second half woes at the beginning of this half of football. Russell, of course, giving up more than 60% of the points they've conceded this year in the second half. And Lockyer scores a very important try. Took them barely 3 tackles to go down the field and score that try. And here's a big tackle from DeVico. They need some solid defence now as Bennett looks on still.
They need 5 more of those, Ryan. If they can give them 5 more of those, they're in this with a bit of a chance. If they can't, and the Broncos really start to make some inroads, it'll just become a procession.
Darren Burns making one of those inroads. Almost back to the halfway line. Vayner came from the field as the Broncos lined up that conversion attempt through Michael DeVere. That will force a reshuffle once again in the back line for the Raiders. At the moment, it's the Broncos forward who are doing the damage down the middle of the park. Prittis comes to Lockyer, chipping over the top. He rolls it in behind Schifofsky. Kick's too big. And the Raiders will get it from the 20-metre line. They have picked up some big metres once again in that set of 6.
Well, they have. It looks ominous signs for the Raiders. The Raiders really have to improve their go forward. They can't just try and play for time, because if they do, the Broncos, they've got too many classy players. I'd just like to see them try and get that quick play the ball. The Broncos, when the Raiders do that, they look slow on their feet, and the little guys are having all sorts of luck around that middle of the park.
They need 5 good hit-ups here and a booming kick to play the Broncos down inside their 20.
Wolford Tackled by Corvo. It's Finch. Put away to Colella. A couple of metres apart around the ruck there. Fires a ball away. That was a poor pass, and now Prince picks it up for the Broncos. And they're just 10 metres on their own side of halfway. And the Raiders can't afford to let them score in this set of 6. And the floodgates might really open over these final 10 minutes or so. Here's Pritis. Comes to Myers. To Vico. A good tackle down low to stop the second rower. Lockyer to DeVere. Good hands down low as he offloads to Justin Hodges. Again, DeVico is there to make the tackle. A lot of work in defence now. They need to. Shane Walker. Corvo back to Walker. Prince gives it to Chris Walker. Stepping behind Scott Prince. Tony Archer says there was no Shepherd there. Perhaps because no Raider player was up in the face of Chris Walker trying to get to him. He made the ruling that way. Here's Lockyer now, cutting behind one of his own players. He'll get to the line once again, but we might hear more about this. Tony Archer looks to his touch judges.
Yeah, mate, no, I'm happy with Burns.
He's happy about the decoy run from Darren Burns, and Lockyer crosses once again. 26-24, the Broncos a kick to come, which could tie it up. I want to look at that one again, though.
Yeah, well, I'd like to have a look at that as well. It did look like there was some obstruction there. He did double around. We'll see here, we see Burns running a straight angle. DeVico dropped off, but everyone just went to sleep. They didn't play the whistle, and that's what you got to do. You can't afford to drop off. The Raiders did, and Lockyer was there to take full advantage of it.
No communication by the Raiders defence. Obvious here. Lockyer just a little turn of pace. He sees there's a forward there, throws the dummy, gets on the outside of the forward, and was always going to make it when it became a foot race.
There was no problem from that particular angle there. No Raider was impeded trying to get to Darren Lockyer as Burns flashed through with the decoy and dropped off the man with the ball in his hands. Here's again. Here certainly gave the impression that he might have run behind Darren Burns, but you saw DeVico couldn't foot it with Lockyer. And Anthony Colella also unable to pick up the flying fullback. 3 tries now in the last 7 minutes for the Broncos. What was a 16-point lead might now be about to vanish completely. What would they be thinking up high there? The brains trust of Meninga and Elliott. How quickly things can change when you're playing the Brisbane Broncos. Michael DeVere close to converting earlier try of Chris Walker from wide out. Shaved the right hand upright. This one more easier kick for him, being a right footer. Either way, whether he kicks it or not, we've got an enthralling final 10 minutes coming up here. Momentum really sucked into the Raiders' efforts. DeVere strikes it beautifully, and we are all locked up at Bruce Stadium. What a kick from the New South Wales centre. 26 plays 26, and we've got just on around in this game. Michael DeVere, a pressure kick, and he has potted it from almost the sideline. The Raiders, can they stem this flow of points? 16 in the last 9 minutes the Broncos have scored.
Well, I know we praised Darren Lockyer for his performance in this first State of Origin game, but in the last 15 minutes, he's really stood up for the Broncos. He's led the way. He's been captain. Gordon Tallis has been off the field, and geez, he's a wonderful player. He's really stamping himself as one of the greats of this game.
There is Corvo. Slow to play the ball down. Pritis now goes almost through the middle of the ruck. Wolfen slipped over. Terry Martin grabbed him by a fingernail. Harrison turns it back. Comes to Sailor. Pushes away from DeVico's tackle. They're just 38 metres out from this Raiders line. Here goes Lockyer now, stepping away from one. Chris Walker chipping over the top. Regathers. Almost got away from Alan Tung's tackle. Here's Finch now. Picks it up. The Raiders have hung on. They needed 2 in that set of 6. And they have Tallis and Webke. Best in the business almost. Waiting to come back onto the field for the final 8 minutes here. One final assault. There's DeVico. Floating for Kalila. He's tackled just short of the halfway line. Wolfen now comes to DeVico. A lot of work in defence. Hasn't been able to stop this avalanche of points coming from the Brisbane Broncos. He'll play it back to Kalila. He looks very tired, DeVico, out there. Here's Tongue now. Hutchison goes forward. Try and roll him onto his back, and they're successful in doing so. Couple of tackles left in this set of 6. Tongue will use one up as he takes it down towards the Brisbane 20. Last tackle, what's the option? Do they go high to the air or roll it into the in goal? Perhaps a field goal. Here's Finch. He struck it pretty nicely, but it hooks wide. It's a pretty good kick from Brett Finch, and good range as well, just outside the 30. Just a little bit wide.
Gee, I think it was a bit early days to be starting that. Still 8 minutes left in the clock. I thought they could have taken it down and got the Broncos camped inside their own 20-metre zone or own 5-metre zone and make them go all the way. They've got to tire them out. Remember, 10 of these guys have played a game of football. The Raiders haven't. They should have the fresher legs.
DeVere will play it back to Prittis. Comes to Webke, who's back out there now with Gordon Tallis. Prittis all showing it on the inside for Darren Burns, who couldn't hang on to it. The Raiders a great chance once again here. Will they work it for a field goal one more time? Tongue. It's just inside the 40. They've got plenty of tackles to get it closer. Here's Kalila. He just bumps it forward. They might look for one, but they might end up with 6 in doing so. Wolfen now comes to this left-hand side. Jason Croker tackled at the 20-metre line. Finch is poised, one off the ruck. Perhaps not this one. He'll go to his right-hand side. Hutchison showing it. Finch backing up, is there now with the ball in his hands. Offloads to Schifofsky. He's just 15 metres out. Finch goes quickly back behind the line, looking for it now. Wolford tries to find him. Goes himself from dummy half. Gets to within 4 or so metres. Got it back to Schifofsky. He's crunched by Webke. Flips it backwards to Finch, who thought about a field goal. He gives it back to Nagus. He grubbers it now. Couldn't get there. Darren Burns is there to clean it up with one other. It's Shane Walker. He tries to go again. They'll get 6 more tackles, the Raiders. Gordon Tallis, barely out there a couple of seconds, has picked up from where he left off, giving Tony Archer 14 or 15 earfuls.
Gordy. He's a passionate player. He's certainly the most damaging forward in the game, if not the best player at the moment running around. But the Raiders get an opportunity. They've got to work it downfield and look for this one.
There's one tackle. They almost scored when they were trying to set up for a field goal last time, and now they're just 30 metres out. Less than 5 minutes left. Wolford turns it back for Todd Payton. They're in great range again if they want the 1 point. What do you want, Laurie Daly? 1 or 6?
Go one more ruck and then go the 1.
Here is Finch to the left-hand side. Turns it back in for Ruben Wiki. Finch is ready again. Wolford at dummy half.
Sorry, Warren. Great field position for the 1.
They give it to Alan Tongue. Looks for options, floats it across. He goes a long way from the goalpost. Here's Ken Nagus, only just hanging onto it. And now they're very wide. It's a difficult one for Finch. He's got a rampaging Brisbane lineup in his face. He decides not to go for the 1 point. Crossfield bomb. High to the air. McClendon goes up for it. So does Saylor and brings it down. They didn't get the field goal attempt away. They decided to go wide on the 5th tackle. And it cost Finch really any realistic chance of getting the field goal away.
Well, they've just got to make sure they muscle up here in this set of 6 and put a lot of pressure on Darren Lockyer when he goes to kick the football. They've got to be also aware that Prince may kick the football. Shane Walker.
Lockyer gives it to DeVere as Hodges cutting back inside him. He's wrapped up by Ken Nagus. That's the 4th tackle, 3.5 minutes left. 26-26 still here between the Raiders and the Broncos, live on Fox Sports. Burns, it comes to Lockyer, chipping for himself. It wasn't a great chip, taken, plucked out of the air by Todd Payton. Might have been a good thing for the Broncos. It was the front rower and not Finch or one of the flyers who picked it up.
Well,
Here's Wolford. What do they do now, Laurie?
Well, they've got to go for the one, Warren. They've got to work towards the posts. And I think Shafosky might be the man who'll take the one. They should stand Finch or Shafosky either side of the ruck, but they've got to get the momentum forward.
Tongue comes away to Kallela. He gives it away to Ruben Wiki. He comes back towards the post, dumps it backwards. Rutchison gets there. Wolford points towards the post, says, please go that way. Here's Finch offloading it. McClendon cleans up. He comes across field. Hangs onto it and takes the tackle now. That's 4 tackles gone. They've got 2 left. Lalessi gives it to Croker. He shows it. Runs with it in both hands. Wolford at dummy half. Points to Shafosky. They've got Finch back there as well. Finch gets it and kicks a shocker.
Well, you always knew that was going to be the case. The Raiders, they fumbled around. They went the wrong way. They didn't work for any field position to go for the 1 point. I can't believe that they've missed that opportunity. Up as Hodges
almost gets away. Finch made perhaps a try saver, even though he was a long way from the try line. Here's Walker now at the halfway line. Tries to play it quickly. It comes back to Prince. Here's Tallis. He gives a ball to Lockyer, who has already scored 2 in the second half. Now De Vere is tackled. 30 metres out. Do the Broncos go for a field goal? 3 tackles left. Tallis now storming down that blind side. They've got 2 tackles left. Hodges at dummy half. Here's Shane Walker at first receiver. Comes back to Mark Corvo. That's the last tackle. Prince is there waiting for it. So is Lockyer. Wolford gets up into his face. Now Lockyer steadies himself. Takes his time and hits the post. Off the post. He tried to break the deadlock and went within a post width of doing so. Now Finch. 26-26. It's almost exactly the same situation he had against the Newcastle Knights, and once again he was going for the kick to try and pick up the scrum downfield, and only Tony Archer saying wait, stopped him from doing so. He was going to take the odds to it again. Great to see.
I think he was G'ing up though, Warren. I think he was G'ing up, but it was good work by the Raiders. They tried to harass Lockyer. What do? Do we try and score a long-range field?
Here's Nagus. Well, it might be a field goal. They might go for the long-range try. 38 seconds left. We're still tied up. Shafosky has it in his hands. Tries to keep it alive. Does so. Tongue away to Croker. Here's Payton with it. Tries to hold off the Broncos. He's lost the ball. Tony Archer says play on. And here is Chris Walker going to score the try that wins the game for the Broncos, perhaps. Wayne Bennett leaps to his feet. Such emotion from the Brisbane coach.
Hang on. I just want to check whether it's raked out, partner. No, not yet.
Tony Archer wants to take a look at it with the video referee Ian Parnaby. The ball came loose. Here is Payton in the tackle that came out there. Scott Prince was in around the ball. Payton appealing for 2 in the tackle. He believed that the ball was stripped out. That angle there wasn't a terrific one to see it. Now here is Prince. Goes in down low. His right arm around the football there. Here it is. This angle here might show it. As if Prince was trying to reef it out. That angle there gives you plenty of suggestion that that's exactly what he did.
Well, he has pulled the football out. You see his hand, he's in under the football from the other shot, and then he comes out with it. This is going to be a penalty to the Raiders. They're going to get an opportunity to kick the touch and have a long-range field goal attempt.
Ian Parnaby wants another look at this particular angle here. You can see Payton trying to shield the ball away from Scott Prince. He gets that right arm hooked around the top of the ball. Darren Burns comes in to help in the tackle, and then the ball comes loose. Here's a piece of play leading up to the particular incident. Shafosky went forward. It came from Tongue. Matthew Elliott looking on. Well, everybody here waiting and waiting. Spry, penalty to the Raiders. Chris Walker, thought he had scored the game winner. Now we have 16 seconds left. In fact, time has been blown back on. And so the clock is ticking. We have 5 seconds left now. Finch will get the kick in. In fact, there's the siren going on the stroke. As the clock ticks down to 0, they'll get one chance for a field goal. Wolford wants them back to 10. Shafovsky is there as well. He gets it from 38 metres. He strikes it beautifully, but it is waved away. Waved away after the bell. And the Canberra Raiders have fought out a 26